Hi, it's Tam from Really A Expeditions. So, today I want to talk about a little thing that has been blowing up on my social media, and it's in particular around Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm sure that any one of you is going to know exactly what I'm going to say before this even starts, which is there are so many videos at the moment talking about D&D is dead because of the marketing approach that Wizards of the Coast are undertaking with D&D Beyond in particular. So I want to talk about this in terms of my own experience, but I just want to give a little bit of my insights and my thoughts on this and why I think the death knell of D&D is a little bit like the death of the Red Baron. I think it's a little bit exaggerated. I think it's a problem, but I think it's a different problem that some people are thinking it is. And I kind of want to talk about a little bit. So I always think about D&D and subscription services the same way as I approach going to the movies. I'm a huge cinephile. I absolutely adore film. I would go and see every film in the cinema when I was younger, since I was a little tot to till recently. But I will say this: in recent times, the quality of film isn't really there for me to go and want to spend the money to go and spend sit in an uncomfortable chair and eat overpriced popcorn and have a big soda. It's also the fact that other moviegoers make it a really unpleasant experience for me. They're noisy, they're on their phone, they're wandering around, it's not a thing that I'm looking at going, this is an enjoyable experience that I want to keep doing. So I find that I buy a big TV, I subscribe to Netflix and Amazon and Paramount and HBO and all of these other streaming services, and I watch all my content that way. That's not to say that any of those things are bad, but there's also not saying that any of those things are permanent. I don't own the films that I watch anymore. I don't necessarily go and look at the go to a video store like I used to go to Blockbuster back in the day and go and pick a movie depending on the cover, and seeing the rise of the Transmorphs or whatever, which was a knockoff of Transformers, but it had a cover that was just similar enough that you just went, oh, maybe I could get fooled by this. So there was all of this in the same way that we just don't want to engage with that anymore, because that thing has stopped being a fun thing for us to do or a normal thing for us to do, and it's become an event. And I want to talk about this in terms of D&D because I think that it's important to think about it that way. So D&D Beyond is a platform for content sharing. You can absolutely use it for content sharing. You can create content, you can create your own homebrew, you can create whatever. The problem is that it lacks that permanence. You're no longer physically holding a book in both of your hands and knowing that nobody can take that book away from you. It can't have a season where it just gets discontinued. It's a little bit like films on Netflix. Like, one of my favorite films is The Thing with Kurt Russell. And one day I went to watch The Thing and I could not watch it for love nor money on any of my streaming services because it was not on any streaming service. I was fortunate at the time that my housemate, who was also a huge cinephile, happened to own a copy on DVD. But that's neither here nor there. That's just saying that's the problem with permanence. You need to remember that when you buy something as a subscription, it means it's not permanent anymore. You can't physically grab it and hold it with both hands. It does have that finite life cycle, which is really, really dangerous for those of us who like physical media. So to take that analogy that one step further, I don't think D&D is going away while there are those of us who still want to buy physical media. We still can buy books, we can still buy stuff. It's not like we can't buy those things anymore. It does mean, though, that there is going to be an element where some items will become digital only, and that's where it becomes risky, because you could get your access to something cut off tomorrow and then find that you don't have it anymore. And I think that that's the scary thing. I mean, I love Cthulhu by Torchlight, but it could disappear tomorrow on D&D Beyond, and the only record I will have of it is if someone has happened to print a PDF of it at some point. The thing about it, though, and this is why I wanted to talk about that film analogy, is I think that there will still be a desire for some players and some GMs to get together and sit at the same table and play D&D. I don't think it's going away. I think that, in fact, if you treat D&D and think about it just as a video game, you run the risk of actually alienating those people who use D&D Beyond and such tools like Demiplane, for example, as a way to make character creation or character management easier for them. Those are the people who are going to be on a free tier. They're not going to pay for a subscription. They're going to build a character using resources, potentially resources that you've shared with them if you happen to have a subscription yourself, but just using the free rules or just using homebrew or using whatever. And the thing about it is that while the books could disappear, the characters won't. And that's something to bear in mind. You don't have to buy a subscription to get a free tier to build characters. If you're a player and you just want to build a character, you can absolutely do that. And you can do that easily through these tools. They're there to help players make this easier for them. As a GM, though, I think one of the things that is scary and also quite disconcerting is that we are all concerned about AI GMs. I'm going to say this. AI is not there. It's not there. It's not to a point where I'm in any fear that there will be a Really A Expeditions version of AI version of me. I'm really not. I work quite closely with AI in my day job, but I don't see it quite getting there. It still has a lot of faults. It still makes things very genericized. So I don't think we should be worrying about AI as in the same way we are. I'm not saying we shouldn't worry about it at all, because I do see the threat of AI, but I also see the spark of creativity from so many people, independent creators, independent artists, people who are converting things, people who are looking at it and going, this isn't great, but this is not what we want to do. There is so much stuff out there that you can write, you can create, you can convert, you can do so much stuff. You don't have to pay for a subscription for D&D Beyond to get D&D content. I see the current joke, which is, welcome to our new version, it's 3.5 again. Now, I love 3.5, by the way. I'm not going to lie. I love 3.5, I love 5, I love 5.5. But the thing about it is that those rule sets belong to people, and we've built our communities around D&D in that version. Heck, there's people who are going back to really old school D&D. They're playing Daggerheart, they're playing Dungeon Core Classics, they're playing Draw Steel, they're playing all these other games that are trying to replicate what they felt when they were playing D&D back in the day. I've even joined AD&D first edition games and playing in those sorts of rule sets. So the rule set isn't going away. There is 50 years of lore, 50 years of stories. And that is not counting all the thousands of stories that people have written in their own campaigns at home. So I don't think that just because D&D Beyond and WotC are looking at making it not permanent, it doesn't take that experience away from any of us. So what do we do in this instance? Right. Number one, we should keep it alive. Keep the spirit of the game alive. We keep the spirit of the game alive by building community. We build our GMs. We build our players. We actually introduce them to D&D, and if they like D&D, we introduce them to the worlds of. There's so many worlds of D&D. There's so many versions of D&D out there. We bring them on the journey and introduce them to Ravenloft, bring them into Dark Sun, introduce them to Planescape, show them Spelljammer. And then, what else? Oh, well, go with the Crooked Moon, go with Neon Odyssey, which is being playtested at the moment. Go to all of those different things. Go to Grimhollow. There is so much stuff out there that is just being created for 5.5 that is physical media that you can go and pick up a book and buy. Tomorrow, you can go to your local game store and buy a book. Speaking of local game stores, lots and lots of local game stores are running games of D&D. Lots and lots of local communities are running games of D&D. They don't have to have Adventurers League to run games of D&D. There doesn't have to be a D&D Beyond to run games of D&D. All you need is a set of dice and a pencil to run D&D. And I think that that's the spirit of creativity that is not going to get monetized because it's living in here. It's living in your head. It's in your imagination. I will say this honestly. I have been rediscovering modules written for second ed, written for first ed, written for 3, written for 3.5, written for 4. I've been rediscovering content because I was unhappy with the quality of the content that WotC were producing for the 2014 version 5 of the rule set. I was reading the modules and was so disappointed by the content and felt that the only way that I could re-enjoy this was to actually look at what worked previously in my experience and convert it. There is so much stuff out there. There are whole channels on this platform talking about different modules, classic modules, things that nobody talks about anymore. And yet we look so short focused and go, but D&D Beyond is turning this into a video game when we've got 50 years of stuff that we can all draw upon. So I guess that's the problem. Let's talk about the solution. So we need to build community. We need to keep building community. We need to keep understanding what people want out of their games and how they want to change their games. We are not a community of professionally trained voice actors. We are not we just want to build a world with you. We want to build a story. We want to build an experience. And I, for one, am never going to lose that. I never want my gaming table to end up being like that cinema experience where I go in and think, I can do this at home. I can do this better at home. I don't have to be here to do this. The day that happens is a really sad day because it's not the same experience. If you're playing on a virtual tabletop, it's not the same experience as sitting at a table with a bunch of miniatures and a map and some dice. It's not. And I think that the thing that we need to do as a community is make D&D an event. Make it an event. Make it something that when you get up and you go to your gaming table, whether that is someone's kitchen table at home, whether that is at a convention, whether that is a regular meetup, whether it's that with a group, whether that's with your best mates in the world, whether that's a once a month thing that you do with a bunch of your friends when you don't have your kids, Whatever you do, make it an event, make it exciting. Put food on the table, put bowls, have a have a laugh, have jokes, make it your own, make it your own. I do not understand this whole concept of, if I can't play D&D the way that I want to play D&D, then D&D is over. It's not. And if you really feel like, you know what, Wizards of the Coast, you done me bad, I don't want to give you any more money, well, guess what? There is hundreds of companies out there and heaps of independent creators who are creating their own stuff that is not WotC. If you don't want to give WotC a red dime, as I understand, you don't have to. You don't have to. There is so many other companies out there that understand their community and want to actually support and build their community. Look at Paizo, look at Chaosism, look at a number of these large companies that have come out and gone, we want to build our community. There's heaps and heaps of these communities out there. And that's just talking about companies. That's not talking about small community groups that are not for profits, that are looking to build community in the gaming space because they understand the gaming community is important and they want to put on events. That's why I keep calling my events the things that I want to do. I call them expeditions. They're stuff that they're a journey that we're all going on. And we're going to do this in a really amazing way. So to reframe the original question, is D&D dead? No. Is D&D the way that Wizards of the Coast are trying to sell it? Is that ideal for every player? Also, no. There will be a group of people that will absolutely appeal to, and that's not to yuck on the yum. As myself, as a number of people that I've listened to in the community, we are old school. We know that D&D just needs a pencil and a piece of paper, and guess what? We got 50 years of stuff that we can run. Let's run what we can. Don't think about the permanence. If you want to send a message which says, we are not consumers, we are not zombie consumers anymore. We are here to play a game that we love. And if the version of the game that you're releasing isn't the game we love, we are going to go and create the game we love, because every table that runs D&D is creating that experience for themselves. And I think that that's the important thing. Anyway, I've gone on a little bit of a soapbox rant here, and I apologize for that. But I want to know what your opinion is. Come and talk to me at conventions. Come and talk to me, through this platform. I would be interested to your thoughts as well. And if you do like my content, please like and subscribe. I'm sure that most of it is not as ranty. I apologize. But also recommend to a friend and keep playing D&D. Until next time we go on that trip to the South Pacific, this is Tam from Really A signing off. But D&D is not dead. It lives in every single one of us that brings it to our table. Thanks.